wanted to be a professional soccer player, right? I was training every day. That's what I wanted to do. And my old man goes, okay, well, I've got a friend that's he's been area manager at the Commonwealth Bank back in Perth. He goes, why don't you just go have a chat with him and see if you want to do it? Mate, I tell you what, 2 weeks later, I was working as a teller in a CBA branch in Perth. I went, bloody hell, what happened? Yeah. Why am I here?
Julian, we're back with another episode of Lost and Founders, and today I'm here with a very special guest.
Hey Julian, do you want to say my name?
Yeah. Introduce yourself, mate.
Dino Pacella, who's who I am.
You might be the most famous bloke in the industry, but...
Not even close, not even close.
Mate,
I'm
really
sitting
happy
one
to,
across from one.
Really happy to have you here, mate. We've known each other for a few years now. We've done a few National Finance Brokers Days together, and really love what you're doing there. But before we get to all of that, I actually want to unpack, because some people might have heard your story and you're pretty honest about your journey at different moments and stuff like that. And you're pretty sort of the way you post things online. I feel like there's not a lot of people that are that open and transparent about things that are going on and all that kind of stuff. So would love to hear your story. How'd you get into the industry? What's your background? What drives you? All those sorts of things.
Mate, I never wanted to go into finance and banking. I was 17, I got out of high school, and my man turns around and he goes, well, what are you going to do with your life now? I thought, mate, I was fully into football then, or soccer, depending on what you look at it, and I just wanted to be a professional soccer player. Right? I was training every day, and that's what I wanted to do. And my old man goes, okay, well, I've got a friend that's he's been area manager at the Commonwealth Bank back in Perth. He goes, why don't you just go have a chat with him and see if you want to do it? Mate, I tell you what, 2 weeks later, I was working as a teller in a CBA branch in Perth. I went, bloody hell, what happened? Yeah. Why am I here? Long story short, that basically built my career path into finance. So I was sort of thrust into that. It wasn't a passion of mine, but it's obviously grown into a really, really strong passion. Obviously, the finance broking industry has that really built into me now, and that passion for brokers and helping people and seeing wonderful businesses thrive within the industry, like LoanOptions.ai. When you start seeing people do really cool things within the industry, that's helping so many businesses and so many clients, you go, mate, how can you not love this place, right?
It is a good industry, and I think one of the things that most people have seen you almost like pioneer in our industry is the personal branding aspect. So obviously you start in a teller, and there's a long way between the teller and where you are now, right? But we'll slowly unpack that. But one thing that you've built a really big following, and you have spoken your mind over the years. But when did it become apparent to you that building a personal brand was really important? Because that's very common now. You got guys like Gary Vee and Hormozy, but quite a few years ago, not a lot of people were speaking about personal brand. It was all about company brand and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I was on the same path, right? It was all about the company that we were working for, and you just put out everything. It was all corporate post, if we call it that. Until somebody actually sat me down and go, mate, you're not getting much traction. The corporate post, you'll be seen like within a little bubble of your industry, and that's it. Right? And it came to the point where I was also winning awards, as we do in our industry, and I was posting all about that and being the best BDM in the country, and very, very like, I'm the best type of stuff, right? Where we've got this lovely tall poppy syndrome in Australia where people will cut you down very, very quickly, right? And I think I took that on board. Like, I sort of pushed that away to everyone and go, well, bugger it, I'm going to do my own thing and do it how I want to, until somebody just slapped me in the face, and it was a good mate of mine, and said, hey, why don't you just be a little bit more open, try some other stuff on there and see how it goes. So I remember I was sitting in Perth, and I thought, I was probably divorced for about 2 years, and I've got two girls now. They're adult girls now, but at the time they were young, and I talked about sometimes the guilt of not being with your daughters 24/7, or being with them 24/7, then all of a sudden only seeing them half that time, right? So I sat down and I thought, how about if I did a video about talking about the guilt factor for parents who go through a divorce, not about separating from a partner, but separating from your children.
Yeah.
And I sat on that video for about 3 months. It just sat in my camera roll. And I went, fuck it, let's just put it out, right? And I put it out, and my God, the amount of people that came to me, male and female, Jules, who was going, mate, I've just been through that. I understand what you're going through. Mate, how do I do it? How do I talk to my partner? How do I talk to the kids? How do I make myself not feel guilty? And that sort of just opened my mind.
Yeah.
And went,
yeah.
well, maybe that personal branding, it's okay to be a little bit vulnerable on it.
Yeah.
And again, that's up to whoever wants to share whatever, right? But until I did that, and it took a bit of balls to do it. Like I went,
For sure.
Who's going to say things? Is my employer going to like have a go at me for sharing that type of stuff because I'm still branded and linked to their company? Till that moment, and then I went, no. Then it sort of started going gangbusters. I started sharing a bit more about that story, a bit more about stories around failed businesses as well. So I've sort of had to press that life's reset button 2 times, Jules, and that's hard for anybody who's done that from a relationship to financial standpoint. And then I just went on from there. I went, do you know what? As long as I'm doing it and I'm happy with what I'm just going to put it out there because that's me at the end of the day. I want the content and the brand that you put out online that when people meet me, I want it to be the same.
Yeah,
I don't want people to comment and go, mate, that's not you. You didn't do that. That's crap. It's like, no, it is. It is.
You see some people there like fat slobs on the couch, and then on Instagram they're posting that one gym video they took earlier in the year.
If I came to you and we went to the gym together, people would know that's bullshit. Right? We took photos because I don't go to the gym, right? But you'd get that as well because you do a lot of social stuff and your brand's extremely strong as well. I've seen your stuff out there with the family. Yeah. Obviously with the business, jiu-jitsu, that we talked about earlier. But people want to know that.
Because now who are you outside of the purple loans guy, you know? Look, I have been on LinkedIn for like 12 or 13 years. They sent me almost like a happy birthday thing recently, and I put it on LinkedIn. But back then, it was more about observing and was more like a digital resume. And now it's really morphed into probably one of the most powerful personal branding platforms that you could imagine. And just the way the algorithm works is very different to Instagram and all the other platforms. So that's why I really like it. And the content that I feel works the best is when you're actually just being yourself, because it's so different. If you just try and copy all the other posts on LinkedIn, people are so numb to it that I'm thrilled to announce that we, won 20,000 awards. I'm thrilled to announce I've been promoted to XYZ. I don't know. People are well within their rights to post some of that stuff because it is exciting and it's a very important part of their story. So I'm not taking away from that. But if that's the only thing you post, I feel like you're doing yourself and your business a disservice. I've made a conscious effort to post highlights and more lowlights, and speak about some things that have been difficult, whether it's my leadership journey or problems that I've had with, doesn't matter who it is, partners, business partners, whatever, staffing, whatever. It's always an ongoing battle. Business is always an ongoing battle. And people don't realize this, but man, at any given point in time with a startup, you're 1 or 2 bad months away from having to close it up. It's like,
it's crazy.
It is such there is probably no other endeavor where you're on the edge. And there reaches a point where you get past that and then the business is more safe, more secure. But there's a period of time where you are literally on the edge and, things can go really well from here. And you've got all these great partnerships that you're talking to and whatever. But equally, if all of it falls through and then, you lose some key people or, whatever, and the stress gets to you and then you start being really difficult to be around, you could literally have to close it. So that's the part that's not necessary. People aren't really talking about that. They're always posting the highlights and the things that are going really well and we're killing it and all this kind of stuff. Some people DM me on LinkedIn wow, looks like you guys are growing insane. I'm like, I haven't posted anything about growing. So sometimes the illusion of activity on social media is that you're killing it and you're doing all this stuff. I'm like, okay, that's very interesting. It's the way that people perceive your business, even though maybe you didn't necessarily.
But if you talk about your business at Loan Options, how big's the team now?
There's about 30 people altogether.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So the team's a decent size. There's been different points in time where we've had more people, but what happens in our industry is that eventually people grow and then they want to start their own thing or they do whatever. And because our technology is getting better and better over time, the need for more people is kind of diminishing. So, in some cases, it's a matter of like someone leaves and we just don't replace them because like now the technology enables everyone else to pick up the slack or whatever it is. But the team is going really well. I think we've got a stronger team now than we ever have before. And so I'm really proud of that. We have really, really low staff turnover. So the ones that do leave, it's usually because we've sort of built them up to the point where they're now competent enough to run their own business, or at least they feel that way. And
well, I think you've sort of honed in the secret sauce of that culture aspect, right? And why people don't leave organisations, essentially.
you've got to grow them.
Agree.
Yeah.
Agree. But I've been out to your office and I've felt that culture in the air, right? And you can't sort of just snap your fingers and create that overnight, right? And
Yeah.
I think you've done a really, really successful job in creating a business that is super cool, it's super sexy within our industry, that people gravitate to. You go, mate, I'm in that space, I want to go work with Julian and I want to go do that. And I think your personal brand, it portrays that message to people, and maybe that's why you're getting the DMs going, you've grown out that, or you're successful in XYZ, because that culture is even coming across in your brand. So it obviously organically comes across Loan Options. And by the way, I've just taken over Lost and Founders, everybody.
Yeah.
So Julian's my special guest today.
But no, you're 100% right. And the thing is, like, people, they see when you're being yourself. And the thing is, initially where I was hesitant to post on LinkedIn is like, why would I think that anybody has any interest in what I've got to say? And then eventually you put a thought or two up, or opinion or two up, and then it gets a lot of traction. You're like, not that I think people necessarily like, or I have any sort of views about whether my opinion matters or not. It's not that. It's like, this is a great scrapbooking tool for me and my journey. I'll write down exactly what I'm thinking. I'm going to post it. I post it in the way that I would speak. That's why sometimes they come across as these long ramblings, because it's literally I'm rambling, but in text on LinkedIn. And I found people like that because it's different. It's not the same ChatGPT post with the double hyphen, and I'm not pretending to be an expert in whatever the flavor of the month is, international war, or It's like you're allowed to have your opinions and you're allowed to speak freely. I encourage that. But really, when you have somebody who's just being themselves, like there's a girl who just posted a funny thing about her rapping or something, and it's like, it was not a LinkedIn post that you would traditionally see, and it wasn't I'm thrilled to announce, but it's probably her most successful post ever. And it's just because like that's her being funny, her true self, and people respect that and like that, and got a good giggle out of it, and they engage with it. It's like, if you're scrolling your LinkedIn feed and there's 10 thrilled to announce posts and then one where she's claiming to be good at rapping a particular song, you can't help but laugh.
But the whole point of social media, it's social media, right? Doesn't matter what platform.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it might not be the traditional LinkedIn post. The amount of people that message me, Julian, where it's about, like I've messaged something about the kids on the weekend, or I've learned something about that. People go, mate, you shouldn't put that on LinkedIn. And my only response is, why? Can you explain? Oh, but it's a professional platform. Yeah, it may be, but it's still a social platform. People still building brands, building businesses, building a perception of what's happening out there, whether that's personal or in the market. So it's very interesting that people still have that perception. I can't do that on LinkedIn. Like, I'm not allowed. It's like, what do you mean you're not allowed? It's your profile. You post what you want. As long as you're not breaching the LinkedIn's T's and C's, right?
Yeah.
They get booted off. And I know a couple of people who have. But
I did. I got my account back. I've been banned a couple of times in the 12 years I've been on there. But yeah, I think a lot of people that say, oh, it's not really for LinkedIn or blah, blah, blah. I think they're just totally wrong, because ultimately social media is a reflection of what's happening in the zeitgeist, right? It's what's happening around the world, what's happening in our profession, what's happening. It's all of those things. there is a certain way to do it. You know, that obviously, like you see some other social media platforms, let's say like X or whatever, like really short form, very abrupt posts, lots of commenting because a lot of the accounts are anonymous. Whereas LinkedIn is unique in a sense that you don't really have anonymous accounts. You do have some people with fake profiles for sure, but for the most part, you know, you just have to interact in the way that you would interact at a professional networking event. Doesn't mean you can't be funny at a professional networking event. Makes sense? Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that carry on at networking events, but there's a way to do it on LinkedIn, but it doesn't mean you can't do it still, you know?
Well, in our industry, we're in finance, right? We're not, let's put it into perspective, we're not curing cancer.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, you can't take yourself too seriously.
Exactly. Yes, we are making life-changing, I suppose, applications or not decisions for clients, but we're helping them get into homes, grow businesses, whatever that looks like. So it is important, and I'm not diminishing that, but it's not life and death, right? So you can enjoy yourself while you're doing it, and I think a lot of the successful people in our industry find that real balance, right? And understand that I can enjoy myself and can enjoy myself with my team, and let's go out and do it. So I'll take you back to a quick story, Julian. And it sort of, you asked me what how I started on the LinkedIn journey, and I talked about a mate that slapped me in the face, and I'll mention him because he's told people this story, so I hope he doesn't mind. And you know him, Andrew Stevens.
Oh, yeah.
So Andrew and I have been very close mates for, I don't know, 10 years or so now. And when I started posting out that I was winning all these awards and stuff, he had a little closed group where they would make memes of me from my photos off LinkedIn and basically take the piss out of it in the group and at little workshops, right? But Andrew was always going in the back of my mind, geez, if this guy can do it, why can't you guys do it? But I had that real sense of humour, take the piss out of Dino type part. And it was really the first time, or maybe the second or third time that I met Andy, he actually told me about it. And now every time we bloody go everywhere, he's telling people around, we will take the piss out of you because you were actually setting the benchmark and lifting it up to people. And now sometimes I get memes from those people in the group saying, this is what we shared like 7-8 years ago, and it's freaking hilarious. But again, I could have just taken that and gone, I can't believe you guys bloody did that. You guys are a bunch of bastards, whatever. But you look at it and you go, fantastic. If that's generated people to talk about you, whether that's positive or maybe a little bit negative, at least you're creating something and you're creating a little bit of buzz about it. And if it got people thinking, maybe I need to do a little bit more on LinkedIn, whether it was what I was doing or not, then fantastic, right?
That's very true. And look, the reason their reaction to you winning lots of awards and posting about it, that's more a reflection on themselves. What you're doing when you do that is actually just holding up a mirror in front of them.
True.
And so that's the reaction that you get. And it's the tall poppy syndrome thing. And it's not like, I'm sure you have great relationships with those people. I'm sure they were only doing it because it was like a funny thing to do. And it wasn't meant with a lot of malice because it was in a closed group. And look, let me tell you right now, if you found every one of my WhatsApp or Instagram DM group chats with my mates from jiu-jitsu or when we play golf, like even with my brothers, we have a golf group chat, like I'm going to jail, man. Like there's just so much silly shit that blokes do when they're in a small group of trusted people or, you know, women too, right? But it's like, it's just what happens. It's like almost becomes a competition of who can be the most outrageous, and it's just funny. It's just humor. That's how blokes deal with problems in life, whether people want to admit that or not. It's like having some good mates around you that just make you laugh, make you smile. It's a way that men deal with mental health and all that kind of stuff. So you can't take, like if you find group chats, or when even nothing to do with me, but let's say group chats get leaked on the internet, you can't take that as like literally that's what that person thinks. It's just like that's group chats. They're just being funny, and like you'll have, like I'll just give you an example. Me and my brothers will like make jokes about each other's mum. Like that's the same mum. That's my mum. Do you know what I'm saying?
I hope your mum doesn't listen to the podcast, by the way.
Yeah, she might be the only one that listens to all the episodes. But,
Sorry,
you know?
Sorry, Julian's mum.
But like it's just being funny. That's all it is. And it's like it's more funny that like we share the same mum. Like it's my mum is their mum. But just going back to the point. Sometimes what happens is when you shine a mirror, when you just aim a mirror and they look back at themselves, they then are upset at themselves for not doing those things or not putting themselves out there for awards. It's always the people that aren't winning awards or that aren't even entering the awards that are the loudest voices, right? It's like, oh, you can't believe this person does won an award. We do more than them and blah, blah, blah. It's like, did you enter? No, I didn't need to enter. I was like, well, don't complain then. You know, just put your name in there, have a crack. There's nothing wrong with being a finalist or entering an award and not even becoming a finalist. There's nothing wrong with that. At least you're having a crack.
Hey, Jules, can I change the topic? I love the studio, by the way, and I love all the items. I'm hoping it's okay to pull this one. Can you give me, how did this come about? Obviously, we know where the slogans come from, but can I put it on?
Yeah, you can. I've got a bunch of those hats. I'll make sure I give you one. So I wanted to tell you that the printing company actually screwed it up because, the A and the I in the N was meant to be our logo. And they screwed it. So we have a whole bunch of hats that don't have that. But then we also have a new batch that has the AI, like the LoanOptions.ai. But yeah, obviously there was a period of time where we were all hoping, for the sake of Aussies, that rates would start coming down. And we thought it was going to be before Christmas. It wasn't to be. But essentially, the US election was coming up. And what better time to create a disruptive slogan? There's a couple of reasons for it. One is the MAGA hats are famous, right? Like, you know, so many. It's just one of the most iconic hats. Love him or hate him, it's definitely one of the most. If you're wearing a red hat now that says, it could be a Nike hat. Like, people just will look at you and try and see, like, oh, is he brave enough? Is he brave enough? But you know. So that's leading up to the US election. It was just an idea that I had, and I was like, it's firstly, our color's purple, and whether you vote red or vote blue, purple is a combination of red and blue.
Isn't it? Yeah.
So it was about, that's kind of how it came about. It's like, you know, let the world not be divided by what the media and propaganda everyone gets fed. If we can agree that we all want rates to come down because households are struggling and the average Joe is probably stressing a little bit financially. The amount of small businesses that were, you know, really, really struggling, especially leading into late last year and now again. I think that's kind of where it came from. It's a bit of fun.
That's cool.
It's purple. We're not asking people to wear a red hat. We're not asking people to wear a blue hat. It's a purple hat, which basically is meant to be a combination of red and blue, where people can come to the table regardless of what your political views are. I think the average Australian wants interest rates to come down.
Yeah. I love the hat, and you talk about the colour,
yeah.
Right? Obviously, you mentioned to me earlier purple's your favourite colour, hence Loan Options. It's covered in purple, right? And purple everywhere, there's heaps of purple around us, but behind you, and you've kindly sent me a pair, your purple Air Jordans have probably come a staple as a thing that people want in the industry now. How did that come about? Because I never asked when you actually sent it to me.
Yeah, so the story is like in 2023, we had lots of themes in our company about Michael Jordan, you know, like greatness, number 23, 2023. Like there was a lot of stars that aligned, and we really leaned into MJ in that year for inspiration, for, you know, grittiness, for win at all costs, except where your values are compromised sort of approach. And so I bought a pair of purple Jordans. I love the Jordan 1s. I've got heaps of pairs. I'm wearing a different pair now that not purple, but I got, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 pairs of Jordan 1s. I owned them when I was younger, and then, you know, sort of they come back in when they do the reruns of them. But so I had a pair of purple Jordans, and then one of our staff was like, you know, it'd be pretty cool if like all of them. I was like, yeah, if we bought them for everyone, we probably could do that. But I want to set a benchmark. And we created a number, and it was, if you settle 25 loans in a calendar month, then I'll buy them for you. So it was like, it became a status icon. And if you are in the Loan Options team and you have a pair of Jordans, it basically means you're a part of an elite broker club,
like the Yellow Jacket and the PGA Tour, right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, like that. Or, you know, like how some you know, like for example, CBA have their platinum brokers, and, you know, Lendy does a similar thing, and like a few other. So you have these companies that have like I think LMG do the Chairman's Club or something. Like there's all these like elite milestones, and they're nothing to do with money. You know, the thing is, most people would like to earn more money for sure, but there's an element of status that they're also chasing as well. That's why people care about job titles and other things. So they wear these purple Jordans as a badge of honor if they settle 25 loans in a month. So we started buying them, and first there was only a couple of people that had them, and then more people hit that milestone. So, and because we have really low staff turnover, they've had a long runway to hit it. They've had a couple of years now to get it. So all the people that are in our business now, like almost everybody has a pair now by now.
Wow.
So that's great. And it speaks to that point that I was making before about this is the strongest our team's ever been. So then we'd go to networking events, and everybody's like rocking up in these purple Jordans, and people are like, wow, is this like part of your uniform? It's like, kind of, but not really. Like you need to settle a certain amount of deals. And then we would go to those events like NFBD or Advisor Better Business Summit, or any of those sort of industry conferences, and people would say like, how do I get a pair? And we're like, you know what? How do we make it so referral partners can share in this story as well? So we created a program that said if you, as a referral partner, refer and settle 5 loans with us in a calendar month, then we'll buy you a pair as like over and above your normal referral fee stuff. But it's just like now you're part of the club, And it's not a huge benchmark, but it's hard enough that there's a small percentage of people that will hit it.
Yep.
And then we're giving away. We did what every other company does at these events. You print notepads and pens, and we did phone wireless chargers. We did wireless earphones at one point. We're doing like all these things. And just logistically, that was a nightmare. Like you order these things, do you have the right amount?
Tell me about it. Yeah.
They end up being quite exciting as well. Like when we were giving away wireless headphones, I think we were buying them for like, say, $30 each go. Okay. So you'd probably like allocate, say, 50 for the thing. And what would happen is sometimes people would come and take like 5. And like, what are you going to say? You can't. It's like you just took $150 worth of product, but I don't care about the money side of it. It's more like now there's other people that don't get it.
They are not, yeah. Yep.
So I was like, how do we do it? And then so we just said, you know what, why don't we just do a giveaway? So we'll just do a business card draw. And instead of giving them a pen that is probably not even going to make it back to their office, they're going to throw it. They're going to get, it's going to get stuck in the car, like whatever. A pair of Jordans for themselves, and we obviously buy it in their size. Or in what happens in a lot of cases when you get like older mortgage brokers that win it and they're like, man, I don't wear sneakers. It's like, well, surely you have a son or grandson or nephew or something. And like, actually, buy them in this size. And then it's like, now they're actually wearing these shoes. And so we sometimes go to events and they know, like our partners or the people that have won these shoes that have earned them are wearing the shoes because they know we're going to be there. And so it's pretty cool. It's
they're very iconic in the industry now, and I think I don't know when you started that from an internal aspect, or if it just came from when you were doing it from the referral partners. But outside of obviously linking it to the business, it's such a great branding mechanism or an advertising mechanism where people are going to post about it. Because I did. As soon as I got them, I said to the missus, come outside on the balcony, I'm going to take a photo with these and put them up straight away, right? I was all excited that I got them. So was that part of the thinking when you went to the referral partners?
Yeah, absolutely. And it is a branding thing. It is you're creating Instagrammable moments, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, please.
But, for me, the color is like, it's our brand color. We obviously didn't start out as purple, right? So the original Loan Options brand was actually more like a magenta style color. Okay. And when we had Ames do the rebrand, it created this purple. If you asked me a few years ago, like, what's your favorite color? It'd be black or blue, And but I really found, look, we're still, as much as people see us online and stuff, and like we're doing a really good job. We're everywhere, and we're doing a great job on the marketing front. Like, we're still a small company. 30 people is bigger than your average small business, but it's still a small company. We're not like any of these aggregators that have hundreds of employees and things like that. We're still a very small company, and so we don't quite have the marketing budget of other people. So we have to rely on a lot of organic style marketing initiatives or disruptive, the hats. Like we, at an FBAA event, they literally, when we first did it, they were running out, like we ran out of hats like in an hour.
Wow.
And we took heaps. Wow. And then I walked into the conference and everyone was wearing the hats. And I was like, how good is this? Yeah. And so everyone was taking photos of the Make Interest Great. And it got, when I say tens of thousands of views and thousands of engagements, because I think people saw the humor in it. You know, it wasn't a red hat, and so it wasn't controversial. It was a purple hat. And anybody who kind of knows red and blue make purple kind of got it. But it was also like, which mortgage broker didn't want to see rates come down? So it was great. We leaned into and it's a temporary thing. Like now that doesn't hit as well as it did leading up to the November election.
Of course.
But there's always going to be these things where you can get, for a very small investment, a couple of $1,000s in hats. We got, like, I couldn't even tell you, but tens and tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of views and likes and comments and stuff. So you got to find these little pockets and you got to be really quick to execute. Like November election, make interest rates great again. Let's go and get the hats done. Let's do it. We take a risk, because what about if we went to that event where we first sort of debuted them and everyone was like, you know, really upset with us, or, you know, like you got to take some risks.
It could have, and I think, like, going off that, like when you said you've got to be quick to action,
Yeah.
I think it's okay as well to take inspiration from other people's ideas. I think people go these days, I can't do it because Julian's already put that out. I can't do something similar. It's like, why not? Like, you look at, and this is when this podcast comes out, it may be dead by then, but at the moment, there's the bloody AI-generated action figures that are going all over.
Yeah.
One of my staff members did one for us three in the team, and I put it out on our corporate LinkedIn page this morning. And people are going, but people still haven't seen that, right? So whether that it's a trend or not, or whether it's something that gets you traction, why not do it? Don't be afraid just because, like, somebody else has done
Definitely
it.
jump on trends. Definitely jump on trends.
Do you know what I did want to ask you today? I noticed when you guys post from the Loan Options, or it's your one as well, you get a lot of engagement from the team.
Yeah.
The teams are very super engaged on social media. Is that something that you've encouraged with your team, or have they just gone to it and go, listen, we want to do it because we want to do it?
They want to do it. That's first and foremost, because some people don't do it, and that's fine, because, like, you know, I only want them to do it if they want to do it. But I've just explained to them how building a personal brand and building a professional network has benefited my career, and given them a blueprint. You know, like, it's like, hey, we have, say, 30 people. It's probably just over that, but say 30 people, and each one of them is a marketing resource. Like, they have their own contacts and connections and network. They have their own personalities, which I always encourage them to bring it out. Like Elias from our team, that guy is so funny. And, you know, a lot of companies won't like that he is really, like, he's one of those guys where he'll say something and you can't figure out if he's joking or telling the truth, but either way, it's funny. And, like, 9 times out of 10, he's joking, but it goes over a lot of people's head. It's always like a high IQ sort of style joke, but he's just a silly guy. And, like, I want him to lean into that, because actually that's what makes him good to be around. And so if I like it and the team who like him like it, then why wouldn't the rest of the country like it? You know, it's like, so definitely let people be themselves. Same thing with Eugene. Eugene, he sent me a post once, and I was like, this, because Eugene's another guy that is like, when the more you get to know him, the more he will be himself. And I was like, this doesn't sound like the Eugene I know. This sounds like corporate Eugene. It sounds like you're worried I said, write it. Like I said, go and redo it, but write it as if you were writing it to your mates or to people in the team. And so he went and did it. And he just gets so much more engagement because he's being himself. So just as far as what we do in the team, we create a whole bunch of templates for them, our marketing agency. And we tell them, like, here are the things that are in line with our message. You can post whatever you want outside of that, but, like, if you're posting anything to do with the company, like a loan or a scenario that you help the client, or how fast you got a loan from first inquiry to submission, we're all about pushing the speed of using loan options. And so we have these templates that we create, customer review ones, speed ones, difficult scenario case studies. And then all they have to do is, like, fill in some details and then push it live, you know? So we encourage that. I also do sessions with them when they ask, like, if somebody wants to know, oh, how do you do this, or how do you do that, or, like, what's the best way to grow your network or whatever, I'll tell them, okay, here's what's worked for me. And so yeah, but if someone posts something, like, we'll always get behind it. Like, why wouldn't we? It's like, we'll try and make sure our LinkedIn's look, you know, reasonably consistent. so that, and somebody said this comment to me the other day. They're like, as soon as I see that purple background, I just know it's a Loan Options post.
You've got it. But like I think you mentioned earlier, like even collaborating with people, actually getting the team involved. Everyone's got a different community online, right?
Yeah.
I won't call them followers because I hate that word, but everyone's got a different community. So even if you're engaging with that person, even if they're all employees of Loan Options, they could be bringing in other people and other visibility, and vice versa. So that actually really stands out from, I think you're probably one of the businesses in the industry that do that really well. And I've seen big businesses who, like you mentioned, even some aggregators who have 100 to 300 employees who are putting certain things out, and there may be only 10 employees that will always engage on it.
Yeah.
I'm going, where's the other 200
Where's
employees?
everyone else?
You guys have probably just won the best award in the industry, and there's not much engagement
clapping.
from the employees.
Yeah.
It's like, stand from the rooftops. If you're not proud to where you work, well, piss off and go get another job, right?
I agree with that.
I digress.
I agree with it. No. You're 100% right. Like, if you aren't proud that your team just won, there's a video. I shared it on my Instagram, but I should share it on LinkedIn. When Eugene won Commercial Finance Broker of the Year, and he came back, it was a day event, which is like, there's not a lot of them anymore, but every now and again there's like a day awards event, and they're just kind of weird because it's dark inside when they're presenting, and then walk outside and it's still day.
Was it the ABA ones, or was it the one?
The ABA was a daytime one as well, but this was the new one. It was specifically for commercial and asset finance brokers.
Oh, nice.
And pretty sure like Simplicity cleaned up there as well. But we had Eugene come back into the office, and literally everyone was hiding. And because we won 3 awards that day, so 2 company ones, and then Eugene, one for tech, one for a brokerage office, and then Eugene won best commercial asset finance broker. And that was a proud moment, because like Eugene's an awesome broker, funny guy, really loyal, really hardworking, and everyone in the team was happy for him. They all hid. And then when he walked past a certain thing, they all jumped out at him, carried him on their shoulders.
Oh, really?
Like,
oh, wow.
I'll post a video.
That you should. That's awesome.
It was a great moment. I was so happy because, like, just seeing how happy everyone was for him. There's nobody in the corner going, "How come I didn't win?"
Why? Yeah.
We don't have those people. We have zero gossip, and everybody actually gets along really well, which is amazing, because that doesn't happen in a lot of companies. But anytime there's any friction, any bullshit, it's like, it either gets dealt with immediately, or we move on the problem in that. Because there's usually a problem. There's usually someone who is the cause of the tension. And occasionally it's both in equal parts, but most of the time there's one specific person who would have friction with anybody. It's just like, those people are long gone from our business, and we're very happy to say that we have a zero tolerance for that.
Very
crap.
nice. Well, I want to see that video. Make sure you post it, please. I'm sure he loved it.
He did, yeah. And it was a very proud moment for me as well, because I was like, it tells me that we've got our priorities in the right spot. But yeah, I think LinkedIn is such a powerful tool. I think if you don't have a massive budget, there's probably TikTok's probably the only other exception where you could just post a random video and then it just gets like, for no reason at all, 2 million views. Like but I feel like LinkedIn is way more targeted. So like, you're going to get less views, but it's going to be your ideal audience, and more so than TikTok, where it's just people scrolling, flicking through, and you could be not interested in acai bowls, but all of a sudden your feed is full of acai bowl people.
Don't I love my Instagram sponsored ads when it comes up? I went for dinner the other night, and I have never even mentioned that restaurant, and as soon as I went back to the hotel, what comes up in my sponsored ad? The restaurant. So I don't mind that. And some people go, I don't like the phone listening to me or following me around. I don't mind it, because I'd rather get targeted ads rather than just some rubbish stuff.
Junk, yeah.
It
is scary. It is scary. Sometimes I feel like I only just thought of something. I didn't even say it out loud. I'm like, how are they doing that?
Yeah.
But yeah. There's actually some method to that, and it actually looks at your inclination to for the next thing to buy. So they look at the last thing you bought. And, there's obviously, billions of people in the world, and billions of users on Instagram. But you're not that unique, in a sense that they'll throw you a few ads right after you, but you didn't really pay attention to them. You paid attention to the one that was relevant. So it's like when you buy a yellow car or whatever, then you just start seeing yellow
always
cars. It's the same process in your brain that knows that. But they can predict what you're most likely to want or buy next based on, like, for example, if you started going to the gym and you pay for a gym membership, or you sign up online and the cookies and all the ad tracking stuff, then it goes, okay, now they're probably going to want supplements, and they're probably going to want activewear, and they're probably going to want new runners, and they're probably, so it'll just give you that based on what everyone else wanted after they signed up to that gym. And so that's kind of how it works. It's very similar to how on Amazon you see people who bought this also bought that. It's the same kind of predictive model. But yeah, I want to actually ask you, what was the mechanism that drove you to start the National Finance Brokers Day?
Yeah, and this one went back, well, this one goes back about 11 years ago, probably the first time I started in the broking channel.
Yeah.
Because I went into it, and again, I've said this story a few times, but it's always good for me to repeat it as well, because it just takes me back to why I did it. But I was a BDM, and I was before I actually went into a BDM, the manager at the time goes, let's come and have a chat. I've got a BDM position to come and work in the broking channel. And I had never worked with brokers outside of being a branch manager at Commonwealth Bank at that time, where I was we would be dealing with brokers when they'd send their clients in for transactional accounts, right, and credit cards and alike. A little bit different now these days. And before I actually took the job, I spoke to my partner, spoke to some friends and said, listen, what do you think about me actually going to work in the broking industry? And half the people went, aren't they dodgy? Aren't they like car salesmen? And I went, shit, maybe I've got to do some research before I actually take this position, right? And I looked into it a bit further, and obviously that's not correct, but that was a perception that I was getting from about 80% of the people I was asking. Yeah, and I was going, wow, okay. And then literally 3 months after I was in the role, I went, how do I, as a little BDM in Perth, raise the awareness of brokers for consumers? How do I do that? What little part can I play within our industry? And then it came about, what if I had one day that would celebrate the industry, raise awareness, and brokers can promote stuff out to their clients or prospects to say, listen, we actually have a national day, even though there's a national day for bloody everything these days, but I like that we have one for our industry. And then in the lead up to it, just continue promoting awareness of brokers. And 99% of it will be done online. So whether it was rates going down, or there's tips to pay off your mortgage soon, or whatever it was, just to go, brokers can help me with this. I didn't realise brokers could do SMSF lending instead of just a normal mortgage, right? And some people still think brokers can only do my home loan, but they can't help me with my business overdraft.
Yep.
Right? So how do you continue building that awareness of the whole service proposition of the industry? So I thought, let's do the day. So I had to cut through some red tape with my employer, so I need to do X, Y, Z. Finally got there, got some support from industry associations and industry peers, and we continue growing it. And it's only been into an actual live conference / event that's been going for, this will be the fifth one?
Yep.
Fifth one, if my math serves me correctly. And now it's grown. And I'm pleased to say, like, a lot of people within the industry know it, because even though it's National Finance Brokers Day, but it supports everybody within the industry, right? Service providers, aggregators, associations, support workers. And there's about 37,000 people that work within the industry that aren't just finance brokers, which that's the part I actually love about the day. Right? It's not just celebrating finance brokers. But
all the people who enable finance brokers.
Absolutely. Lenders.
Yeah, of course.
As well. We can't work without
what's the broking
lenders,
industry?
Right?
Yeah, what's the broking industry without lenders?
We're nothing without money, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it brings everyone together, and it's a real unity piece. And that's what I'm probably really, really proud of. National Finance Brokers is just brings everybody together and celebrate the work that everybody's done to help clients with whatever requirement they actually needed throughout the year. But there's an education piece as well. So if I talk about speakers for this year, man sitting across from me, going to be on the big stage, Jules.
Yeah, thank you, man. I've got to get a bit of reps in, a bit of practice. I did a talk on last Friday on AI. I'm going to be doing quite a little bit more just to get ready for it. You know, it's one thing to prepare, a talk. Let's say it's whatever the duration is. Let's say normally I've done heaps of 15, 20, 30-minute talks, but when you're going to get up there and try and keep people engaged for, let's call it an hour, you need to do a lot of reps, a lot of homework, a lot of work on your skills and presenting. So firstly, thank you for giving me that opportunity. I really appreciate it.
You were the first one top of the list when we talked about we needed a speaker when it comes to AI and fintech and stuff, mate. You're first one that I rang, and thank God you said yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And look, here's the thing. A lot of the other events in the industry, and I recently posted about this, they'll get somebody who is supposedly a AI expert, but all they do is get up and talk about ChatGPT. And brokers need to understand that ChatGPT, like, everybody should be using it. It's great. Like, I'm not shit. Like, it's amazing. It's a life-changing tool. But it's this much of AI. Yeah. It's literally a subset of a subset of a subset of a subset. And you could probably go 5 more times there. But there's other things that people should be looking at and, making sure they're aware of, because a lot of it is going to change the way that we do business as brokers. And my view is, the people who adopt it and are staying at the forefront of it are going to thrive, and the people who are resistant, unfortunately, life's going to be a bit harder for them to continue to grow their business, because everything from the way SEO is done to, like, all of it's changing because of AI. Like, all of it is changing. So, there's not really an element of their business that won't be disrupted. Like, people say that brokers are mostly safe because people love relationships and all this kind of stuff, but the vast majority of things that customers like is results and outcomes, and speed and efficiency. That's why brokers are great. Yeah, brokers deliver great outcomes because they have so many options and great solutions, and that's why customers prefer brokers over going direct to the bank. 76% of mortgages are done through brokers now, and that seems to be a continuous trend of it climbing. Brokers just can't be complacent. That's all I'm saying. Some people take what I say as like, oh, he's building technology to make the broker like obsolete. It's not what we're doing.
That's rubbish.
The banks are building this tech to take away market share back from brokers. Like, whether you want to believe that or not, that's literally what they're investing right now, hundreds of millions of dollars in doing. And so if nobody on the broker side is retaliating with building advanced technology, like the industry, not in the next 3 years, but over time, you're going to start to see this declining trend, because they're going to, like, if a bank can get a client approved in minutes and no impact to their credit score and all the things that brokers like have their selling points, the one thing that banks can't do is offer choice. So if we do exactly what the banks can do, plus give the client 90 different products or 50 different products or whatever, we give them the choice aspect as well, then we're a chance. We're a chance of living to fight another day. But
yeah, I agree.
Anytime technology, massive disruption is inevitable, the people who usually get hurt the most or disrupted the most are intermediaries and middle people. Because tech can just cut out the middleman, and we need to be careful. I'm a broker. At the end of the day, we build technology, but I am a broker. I've been an asset finance broker for 14 years now. And fortunately, I'm exposed to all this, the leading edge, bleeding edge technology. I know what's coming. I know what's around the corner. We started investing in AI 4.5 years ago when nobody was talking about it. And so I think I'm reasonably well qualified. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't know everything. I'm not the global leading expert on AI. There's elements of the really technical stuff that I'm I'll just get my CTO, and he's, in my opinion, one of the best minds in AI in Australia, if not more broad than that. But I have enough of a grasp between the two components. I understand AI, I understand finance broking, and I know where the areas that the friction points are that customers don't like. Because there's elements of, like, there's still so many brokers that send a fillable PDF form to, and how long are we going to continue to how long are customers going to continue to accept that? Yeah.
I'm surprised they're still doing it, to be perfectly honest.
It happens a lot, man. It happens a lot. And so thankfully there's great tools out there helping brokers stop doing that. But some people, we've got this question about Halo. They're like, can you export it as a PDF? I'm like, we can push it into your aggregator system. What do you need it? Oh, I just like it. Okay, we'll build that, but it's, we try and make it easier for you.
It's not going to be the main part of it.
Yeah, it's like attaching a saddle to a car. It's like it doesn't need it.
Why do you have it? But I agree with you in the sense that technology needs to be that real add-on to what brokers are offering at the moment, and not a replacement factor. And I think majority of the broking industry understands that. And thankfully, you mentioned around combating the banks that they're trying to win some market share back. Their limitation is that choice that you mentioned, right? They may have 6 different product suites in the one product, but it's still limited.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think the education now that brokers have been getting out there in the market, or the education for consumers about brokers, I should say, has been second to none over the last 4 to 5 years. And that's probably why we continue to see the broker market share climb. And even from the commercial aspect, probably when I first started out, there's no real, given the way they actually accumulate the market share in the commercial aspect, it's not 100% accurate, given there's different reporting lines in different lenders to different aggregators. So you're never probably going to get it the same as you would do what the MFAA puts out from a residential standpoint. They're saying it's around 30 to 40% at the moment. I think when I first started in commercial about 5 years ago, it was probably around that low 20% mark, 25%. Yeah, wow. So even that is growing because we're getting more brokers diversifying across commercial, but even understanding that diversification doesn't mean that I need to write everything myself, that I need to be the one source of truth for everything. It's understanding that I need the right partners.
That was the mistake, I think. Like, diversification's been a word like since before the Royal Commission, right? That term was being thrown. It's been thrown around for 8 years now, maybe more, and I think people took that as I need to do everything myself, and so that's why it took 8 years for people to start.
Well, that's the way they promoted it, though. Like 9 years ago, right. Aggregators and promoted it that way. Yeah. Like, oh, we've got these commercial loans now, we'll tell you how to write it. Or we do asset now, we'll tell you how to write it.
Yeah, you're right.
It wasn't promoted in the sense that, by the way, you can refer this on and get a really strong business partner to help you with it. That's probably only come in the last 5 years. So I agree with you from that aspect, but I think more brokers now are going, I understand I don't have to know everything.
Let me specialize.
Yeah, but the great brokers and the really successful brokerages out there are understanding I need to train the team to have a sound knowledge. If they're resi, have a sound knowledge of commercial. So if I do identify an opportunity with my client, or the client comes to me, I can have that conversation that goes 3 or 4 questions deep. Not to just say, okay, you want to do that. Okay, I've got to send you to here. Yeah. Right? Clients don't want to be handballed. They want to be warmly introduced to your third party business partner, right? And if you do that, and good brokerages will have a really strong referral process, which makes sure that the cotton wool is around the client every step of the way. And I'm glad to say at Simplicity, we do that through our third-party offering through Marketplace, which I'm proud to head up. But we do it in the sense that everything comes back to our introducer, our referrer, and the client, and it's all revolved around them. Because as soon as you drop the ball on one of those 2 things, you've lost it.
What happens is, because we work with so many residential brokers and because we do commercial asset, every now and again a residential broker will come to us with hey, I've got this commercial property, can you guys help? And that's why we partner with you guys, and we've sent a few scenarios through. But I'm always really sort of because these are really complex deals, and I'm always really happy with the service and like just the communication and stuff. So why somebody would want to try and do that themselves? Like, I look at some of those deals and I'm like, I have no idea. I've been an asset broker for 14 years. I know my way around a P&L. But like some of these deals are really complex, and I'm just like, I don't have the brain capacity for this right now. We're doing so many asset deals. Let's just stay in our lane. That's why a lot of resi brokers go, why haven't you started doing mortgages yet? Like, what are you waiting for? It's like, we want to be a specialist. Like, we want to be the best asset finance broker there is. That's what we want to do. We have no interest in doing residential for a couple of reasons. One is we have 900 mortgage brokers now that refer us business. Like, why? Oh, wow. We don't want to upset that. Like, why would we want to do that? That doesn't make any sense. We would be cannibalizing or self-destructing our own business. The second thing is we're very comfortable doing asset finance, and our technology is built to handle asset finance. To go and start, building out a workflow and all this kind of stuff, it doesn't make sense. The timeline to get a settlement in property is like 3+ months. We can do settlements in hours in asset finance. So our business model is set up more for that high volume, fast cadence, transactional style business. And we have great people that, relationship manage really well. It's not that we're a transactional business, we're not, but the nature of asset finance is more transactional than, like, they're depreciating assets in most cases. Sometimes they're, with equipment, they're income generating assets. And then you can kind of like put them on the right path to get them the second, third, fourth truck or excavator or whatever as their business grows. But for the most part, it's like, I'll see you in a few years when you're ready for your next one, So you need to be fast, you need to be efficient, you need to be better and more competitive than a dealership and make it easier than a dealership. And that's very different, because not a lot of the time is the bank going to be faster than the broker in the mortgage space. So, but so that's kind of it. I think like the diversification that I've seen that's been successful, and for context, since we started the business at the end of the calendar year 2024, we paid out over $8 million in referral fees. Like, that's a lot of diversification, for a business that didn't exist, call it 4.5 years ago. So the businesses that are doing really well at that diversification piece are partnering with the other specialists. Right. Stay in your lane, do it really well, focus on your core business. Anytime you identify an opportunity, have a trusted partner. Doesn't even have to be us. I'm not telling people that it has to be us or has to be Simplicity, but find somebody that you're comfortable with, that works within your business model and the way you like to do business with your clients. And that's usually going to yield you a better outcome, especially if the partnership is properly embedded.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. I think some brokers out there, I think it's that fear of going, well, I don't know how to do that, and I'm scared to put my hand up to say I need to outsource that. Well, outsource it or refer it on. Yeah. Right? And we find that sometimes. It's like, there's nothing wrong with that. You can't know residential lending, asset finance, commercial, all aspects of commercial that comes underneath that, consumer lending. You can't know all of that. Yeah. I've never met one broker in my 20 years of banking that knows absolutely everything or that can do absolutely everything. There will always be something that comes up that will stump you.
And specifically, do everything well.
Agree. Yeah. And help the clients. At the end of the day, you want to help the clients, right? Yeah. So the brokers that go, like you said, Jules, they stay in your lane and go, listen, I understand I'm really good at this, but you know what I'm really good at is helping clients and understanding that if they need X, Y, Z, I've got the right contact. So every time they need something, they think of money or they think of a finance requirement, they give me a buzz. That is really, it's that basis of that relationship. And at the essence of it, brokers just need to stay valuable to their clients. As soon as they lose that value to their clients, and this could be said about the whole broking industry, if we lose value to the Australian consumer, our market share will diminish very, very quickly.
Very quickly, yeah, I agree.
Right? Could you imagine all of a sudden CBA has teamed up with Westpac and ANZ and NAB and go, we can all offer our own products towards each other. We've made a partnership with all the majors. Not that would ever happen, fingers crossed, but could you imagine that would happen? Our market share will probably go down 10% in the next 6 months.
Yeah.
So from that aspect.
And what's even more likely than the big banks doing it is them creating spin-off brands.
Which we've seen already.
Right. So Westpac is more likely to offer, say, an unloan product than they are to offer CBA's product. Correct. But I think people need to understand that the banks are seeing their direct market share. They see it as a threat because now the brokers they have the best interest duty. They are putting the client first, and in a lot of cases, it's not the big banks that are the best for the client. So they're seeing it as like the giving the power to brokers diminishes their own power and control over which clients get what. And if they move their mortgage to another lender, then they're more likely to change their banking as well because they've got the credit card attached and the offset account, and so it's a threat to their whole business model. Brokers having market share. So as long as you understand that as a broker, you're friendly with the banks because you need to send them business, and if it's the right solution for your client, you send them the deal.
Yep.
But you have to understand that they're not always your best friend, as much as they might, on face value, pretend that then some of them are for sure, really sort of focusing on the broker channel, but others are saying they're supporting the broker channel, and then behind the scenes they're creating products to disrupt.
They obviously want to get it. We're not probably the cheapest distribution channel out there in the market. For some lenders, we are the ones who don't have that direct branch outlet or direct consumer outlet. So that maybe not the second tiers, but the third tiers, and there's more online, so-called online lenders. We're a great distribution network, and we're probably their only distribution network that makes up 98% of their business. So from a profitability standpoint, they push brokers every step of the way. And we're seeing a lot more lenders pushing it because of the cost to income ratio when it comes to a distribution network, and how do you actually get your product out to 10,000 brokers instead of going to a solo operator, or instead of setting up a physical retail outlet out in Parramatta. Does that work well? These days, maybe not so much. So again, the distribution costs, and when you talked about banks setting up other brands, other divisions, where they're promoting it out, but it still probably rolls up to their P&L, where does that actually sit? And brokers are clever enough to do that, but you mentioned around bid and best interest duty, and brokers actually ensuring that clients are getting the best possible product and the best outcome for them. And I'm glad we have so much great technology, and we've got aggregators that are investing heavily in the tech space to combat all of that as well. Yeah. So thankfully, the investment's going back into assisting brokers and assisting those businesses. So I think as long as there's choice, as long as there's people out there that are needing homes, wanting to grow businesses, needing assets, brokers are going to play a very, very important role in the Australian economy. I think we actually contributed about just over $4 billion to the Australian economy last calendar year.
Yeah, and
not a bad chunk
of
money.
It's a very big chunk, and if anything, that's probably quite heavily understated, that number. It's incredible the amount of work that brokers do, getting small businesses off the ground, getting people into their dream homes and all those kinds of things. It's it is a great industry that I'm very proud to be a part of, and we'll do everything in my power as a business and with our roadmap to continue supporting it. I want to ask you, because you've obviously been in partnerships and business development and all these other things, you've owned your own business. What are some of the key things that you've seen that lead to a good partnership versus one that's, not, like, the foundations aren't stable? Like, what are some?
It probably comes down to the investment into the relationship or that partnership, right? You can set up a partnership with anybody and go, send us a client here or there and we'll pay you for it. Okay. To me, is that a real partnership, or is that just a referral agreement?
Yeah, that's true.
So when you look at a real in-depth partnership that we want to be part of your business to grow, I think you need to understand that business. You need to understand how they operate, and you need to understand what they want out of your partnership. So as much as we've got at Marketplace now just over 3,000 brokers registered with Marketplace. So it's been going for 5 years and it's grown dramatically due to a couple of really strong aggregator partnerships that we formed. But you look at it in the sense that really strong partners are partners, in the sense that they don't just know my relationship managers, they know me, they know the two owners of the business, they know our general manager, they'll know our broking team, and they'll come out either to the office or we'll go out to them. And it's, even if we're inviting them from a Marketplace perspective, we'll bring our brokers along, because at the end of the day, our brokers will be the ones that'll be doing the deals for their clients. Yeah. So understanding that, listen, this is what we can offer you, and building out and adding or plugging in a lovely commercial offering into your business. And I love the word plugging into all that terminology, right? Because I think that partnership, you plug it in because you're not just referring out the clients, you're going, listen, we've passing you on to an extension of our business, and we've been dealing with Marketplace for X amount of time. But I think a lot of people don't go into a partnership and asking their partner, what do you want out of this, right? Because we may be selling you Coke and you want a Pepsi for 5 years. It's like, shit, have I just been, do I just need to do a little tweak and go to the red can instead of it? And then all of a sudden you go, wow, that's all you needed. Or they go, listen, I just want education from my brokers and we'll send you everything. Or I just want to know that you're there, whatever it is. And every brokerage is different, whether it's a solo operator or one that's 40 brokers, and we deal with all of these. And you help where you can do. But when I mentioned about the plugging in, it's plugging in the sense that you may have some commercial riders in your business, and I love that. I think that's great because they have really strong basis of understanding what a client wants in that commercial space. But then if they go, I get something that I'm not overly comfortable with writing, then they can use us. And I'm okay for us to really use that conduit between knowledge and completion of a deal. And we've got some very, very skillful people. You talked about commercial and looking at it going, oh my God, how do I do this? Yeah. I still do that. I was looking at our pipeline the other day, Jules, and there was a deal in there that's been sitting in there for 3 years that we've been working on.
Yeah,
3 years. Could you imagine a broker doing a deal for 3 years?
No.
And there's no money. There's no revenue out of this, right? It's all time.
It is time. And the ability to delay gratification on a deal like that.
It is
most
crazy.
brokers would have given up by now.
But how good is it? And I think it's a referred deal. I'm not 100% sure, but if it is a referred deal, could you imagine when we do settle that and we go back to that broker and go, guess what? Do you remember that client? They'd probably go, what client?
Yeah.
What client did I send you? Oh, by the way, we're transferring you $48,000 in your bank account because it settled and it was a $30 million transaction. Mate, we've done that with brokers where clients have come back to us and it's taken a year or two and the referrals are going, wow, I completely forgot about, I even had that client on the books. And it's like, again, that really forms a really core part of our partnership. Like regardless when you send it to us, that is your client. There's no marketing to referred clients. We don't do home loans like you guys, so it removes that potential conflict.
Yeah. Mate, very same. I think just in terms of the things you just said about making sure that the client is always their client. Like one of the things that we implemented is because sometimes we do a great job and then the client comes directly back to us, for another loan, or they refer their cousin or whatever. And so if the initial deal is referred by a mortgage broker, we always pay that mortgage broker, even if it's a referral of a referral or, and that's something that we implemented that gives people a lot of trust because like we'll just send people like an RCTI and a remittance advice and just be like, yeah, by the way, Johnny Smith. And they're like, oh, I saw a notification that a new lead was created. I didn't know if that was for me or if it was an accident or like, no, it's, it's all done. And that builds a lot of trust. And so they then go, okay, well, I know that I can trust that if I refer a client and 5 years later, they come back for another loan that you guys are going to pay us. And the second part is making sure there's no channel conflict. We don't have a reason we don't do residential mortgages, like primary reason. We have already so many mortgage brokers that feed us really well. Why would we bite the hand that feeds us? It doesn't make sense to do that. And I think like from the commercial property standpoint, it makes perfect sense that you wouldn't do the same. Right?
We don't do it. I mean, if it's actually needs to be tied to that commercial transaction, then we will be instructing the referral, listen, this is what's happened. Are you okay for us to proceed? Or majority of the time we can do those as separate applications. So we let the referring broker do the home loan, give us the application ID, and then we'll actually submit the commercial side of it if it's with the same lender, so they can match them up from an assessment side of things. So we don't want to take revenue away from a referring broker. Why would we? We're making our revenue on that commercial transaction, and then we're sharing that with the referring broker. Jules, to give you an example, mate, we've probably out of the 3,000 partners that we have, probably 10% of those we've probably contributed an extra $100,000 to the bottom line.
Yeah, wow.
Last calendar year. So, and again, we're not talking about them sending us 5 leads a week. You're probably talking from that aspect about 6 leads every quarter.
Yeah, wow.
So, I mean, it's not a big thing. Like there's decent revenue to be made in the commercial space if we're just talking about money. And when we're talking about brokers who already have a decent portfolio, there's probably 20, 30, 40% of clients in there that have some commercial need, whether they're renting their current building that they want to, that they run a business out of it, and they thought about purchasing the property. Simple things like that. Could be their asset again. It could be anything. So if they're good at generating mortgage opportunities, there's not much of a turn of the tap to go, listen, I can really get good at generating commercial opportunities or asset opportunities. And then all of a sudden you've got 3 or 4 different income streams coming into the business that you weren't having 3 or 4 years ago. And when we're paying out these referrals and we go at the end of the year, mate, congratulations, you had a great year. We gave you $98,000 in revenue based off 4 deals that we settled. And the broker goes, shit, I knew you gave me some money. I didn't realise it was 98 grand. And then I go back to them, how long does it take you to make 98 grand on your mortgage business? They go, oh, let me do some maths. And you go, well, actually, that's a bit of time. Right? So I love doing that. I love helping brokers. If you want to use the D word in diversification, I feel like that used to be the V word in Harry Potter. You don't say the Voldemort, right? Then share in it. Like, let us help you. But if you want to do it yourself and you've got the knowledge, absolutely fine. Great. Good luck to you. Well done. If you've got that commercial knowledge, because it takes a lot to build that commercial knowledge. If I talk about our director JP. You know JP.
Yeah, JP.
You put him in front of a syndicate that wants to build a 250 apartment complex worth 300 million. The guy can talk about it as if he's talking about a credit card application. It's crazy.
Yeah,
right.
Wow.
And to build that skill set and that knowledge, it takes time. It takes years. So I'm glad we've got a number of people within Simplicity now that can do that, and that's another value proposition that we bring to brokers. So
amazing.
It's really cool.
Well, look, we have a tradition here where to wrap up, we actually ask you to do a 60-second pitch. And so you can do pitch NFBD if there's still some sponsor spots available, pitch Simplicity, maybe give us a pitch on both.
Okay, maybe we'll start with NFBD. There's not many sponsorship spots. So National Finance Brokers Day, 20th of August, first time we're taking it out of Sydney at the MCG. We've got about 43 event partners at the moment. So I think the only ones we have now are a keynote speaker and the after party. So somebody wants to sponsor the after party, like all the wonderful purple, even though Loan Options already a gold partner, but you can actually brand all the inside of Miss Collins as well. So we're looking forward to that. And if you need to get in contact with me, just reach out.
Amazing. All right. Yep. And Simplicity.
Simplicity. So as we talked about earlier, if you actually want to look at diversifying into commercial, reach out to me. We can actually plug in Marketplace into your business and show you how to identify some commercial opportunities and help further clients and increase further revenue for you.
Thank you very much. As always, mate, forever the gentleman. I appreciate your time, and thank you for coming on.
Absolute pleasure. I look forward to seeing you on the big stage on the 20th of August, mate.
Thank you, mate. Thank
you.
Cheers.